great college basketball game, and that goes without saying. But again, I think this is one of the things about this league. So many games, and we've been a part of them with the Michigan game, the Michigan State game, and this one certainly. I mean, that are really built up. They're high-level games and get a lot of attention, and then they live up to the hype. And our guys did that. And Michigan's guys did too. There's no doubt about it. It was a hard-fought rivalry game. And there's really not. I mean, that's what it is. And extremely proud of the way not only the players played today and the edge that they played with, but how they have responded and how they kept improving. And the best thing about our guys is they've got short memories. And I think they're getting better at they're shutting out a lot of things on the outside. They're really paying attention to what matters. I think when you grow up in this program the way that they have, we've got people in here that have been a part of those 8 league wins in 3 years. You learn to deal with adversity pretty good. You learn how to overcome things. You learn that it's really not, nothing's easy. So why ever expect it to be? And our guys do an excellent job with that. They really did. But they're always ready to play. And when it was 10-3, I had no doubt that we were here to stay. When we got down, I had no doubt that we were here to stay. And we just continued to go. And the best thing about the end of the game is we continued to play the end of the game like we did the game. We never got down. There was never that look away look. There was never that far away look. There was never that anything but being locked into the moment and believing. Because they've earned their chance to be in these games. They've earned it. And when you earn it, and you earn it over a period of time, you understand what to do in it. And they made some really, really big plays in the game. And everybody that came into that game contributed. We had to make adjustments. You know, the game plan issues for us, the biggest ones were when we left the corners, and we want to take away their outlets on penetration. And that's so big that we do that. And we gave them some threes. Burke found them a little bit, and Burke took 20 shots. So, just looking at this. But the penetration and the finding guys in the corners, and we overhelped a couple times, and that gave them some threes, and then we made some substitutions, and we got those things corrected. But obviously, Cody Zeller, I cherish every moment with those guys. I really do. And it has nothing to do with how long they stay. Those are special guys. And a guy like that plays the way that he does, you know what? He'll be so much better for what he's dealt with at Indiana and the scrutiny that he goes under and the way it gets handled sometimes. He brings it every day. I mean, he brings it every day. He doesn't always have a great day, but he brings it every day. And today was one of those great examples. And Victor Oladipo, for a guy that had not rebounded well in his career against Michigan, comes out tonight and I believe gets his career high, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So 14 and 13 guards the other team's leading scorer and best player throughout the game. Plays 33 minutes, has 3 assists, plays at an extremely high level, doesn't want to come out, don't take him out. There's a better defender in the league in the perimeter and a better defender in the front court than Cody. I'd like to know who they are. And those guys were both on the ballot for the all-defensive team, which I think I'd be shocked if they're not on it. But they just continue to do so many different things. And statistically it shows up, but it shows up in the way that they win, the way that they play. And just a lot of great ball from a lot of great people. And I mean, they are great people because they work, they respond, they get better. They've got a humbleness. They have an understanding. They can look at it, figure it out, get it corrected, let's go. And that's why it's an honor to coach these guys. And we're really excited to have the win.
First question, Rick. What was going through your mind when that last shot was hitting the rim 4 or 5 times?
If it went in, the referee nearest me would hear my timeout call because I was yelling down the court when they were driving it that if they scored, I wanted a timeout. That was the most important thing to me. And I just saw a picture how close the ball was to going in. You know, I'm not even sure. I don't remember. I thought there was 2 seconds. I could be wrong on that. I just wanted to make sure we got a timeout at the end. That's all I was really thinking about. The bottom line is that you turn the ball. And there was a tough first shot. And I'll have to go back and look at it. We haven't done any of that. But to me, that was it. I mean, nobody ever, I don't even like bringing the word panic into it because that wasn't even remotely a part of this. today. There was none of that, but I mean, there was a strong belief. Now, obviously, they had to miss a few shots down the stretch with the free throws to make that happen. And they did, but our guys responded with that. I mean, they truly did. And we changed some coverages late game over the last couple of days. It helped us a little bit. And we were able to get it.
Next question.
Coach, you celebrated a share of the Big Ten title to get the first outright one in 20 years. How much of your emotions after the game was part of that?
Had nothing to do with that. The last 20 years got nothing to do with me. I mean, I'm excited for our fans. I'm excited for, I'm more excited for everybody that's in it and the people that were a part of it when we got 8 wins in 3 years. That's what I'm excited for our fans that, you know, we probably lost a few, but we sure gained a lot more. And people that really stuck with us. And you could say that's easy to say, but it's not. You know, I don't know many programs in any level in the country that could have withstood what we had to deal with and not lose their fan base, and we didn't. We didn't. I mean, and there was so much passion with it. So when you start to think about that, but I just that was a now, and when you reflect, then you start to really think about what those things mean to your families and your fans and to the program. But when it's immediate like that, you're thinking about what it means to your players. I am, anyways.
Coach, late in the first half, they get up double digits, and your guys respond. Cody got going. You guys were able to cut it to 3 by the half. How big was that stretch last 6 or 7?
Oh, big, really big. But again, in the game, we never, you know, that was a big run for them. And but it wasn't like we were playing badly. I mean, we went under a screen. We didn't get back in transition a couple times. They got themselves going. And this whole thing today, we just didn't want it to ever slow down. Because at some point in time, Michigan wants that game to be played at their pace. And that's not a fast pace. And they'll run on the break, and they'll get out and go. But at some point in time, Trey wants to walk the ball up, and he wants to run the offense. And you've got to be able to make that harder for them throughout the game. And he's really good at it. I mean, he's really good at playing any pace. But we needed to keep making sure that the pace of the game was going the way that we wanted. And I saw John made a comment. I respect it. You know, we're not going to let them go downhill, and we had every intention of playing downhill today, and we did. And because we have to. That's how we play.
Tom, why do you think your team was so effective offensive rebounding today?
They knew it was a huge part of the game, and it always is. But they knew that for us to be successful in this game, that it had to be much. First off, it had to be much better than it had been, and that's what we tried to focus on. You know, as a coaching staff and showing to the team the last, you know, since the Minnesota game, is that, and again, everybody's dissecting this and that. No, you know, the bottom line was we weren't rebounding the way we needed to rebound. We weren't getting enough offensive rebounds. We were giving up too many. And our shooting percentages defensively were good. All those things were fine. But when you're giving up layups and you're not coming back and getting those layups, then that's the problem. And we had a few too many live ball turnovers. So our guys really understood that the rebounding was going to be paramount. It was one of the keys, the absolute keys to this game, and ended up being as big a key as there was. So because of the way the game was played out. So I'm really proud of their effort on the glass.
This looked like there was going to be no denying Cody tonight. It seemed like he took the ball to the basket just every single time.
Cody's got a tremendous temperament and a tenacity to him, and highly skilled. And the thing that he had tonight, which was so important, was a short memory. You know, a turnover here, or a couple of those things, and he just played through it. And he did not want to come out of the game. And I almost thought about not taking him out too, but you just knew that it was just going to continue to be a really hard-fought, tension-filled game. And so I'm glad we were able to get him out a little bit, but he knows what kind of shape he's in, and he's one of the most. This is part of, you know, when you start talking about somebody that's well coached coming in, Gene Miller, and what they did with him, and obviously a lot of it's his genetics, but what they did with him and making him an athlete in the sense of his condition. It's one thing to be athletic. There's a lot of athletes that don't want to run. I mean, he runs and goes, and he's just got incredible endurance, and he played like that. And I think that's why it works, because he can play over the fatigue and his skill level not go down. He's going to make some mistakes. It's not perfect, but he's going to be able to play through those things. I mean, he's such a high-level player. I mean, I try to stay out of the whole Player of the Year and All-American stuff, but I look at some of these teams that are starting to come out, and there he is on the third team. I'm not even quite sure what anybody could possibly remotely be thinking on that. I mean, that is one of the best players that's ever going to come through Indiana, no matter what. And we got some good ones coming in, okay? No matter how long we have him, he is one of the best players. All right, not to mention best people, but one of the best players that's ever going to come through there. So a day like today is not surprising, you know, with his capabilities. When he continues to grow, and people forget how young he is, and he understands that he's so capable, maybe not of that every night, but of that tenacity every night, then you've got just a guy that's going to be off the charts, you know, for the rest of his career.
Tom, down 5.
I mean, not everybody,
Hold on,
please.
Augustine.
Go ahead. Then I'll get it. Go ahead.
Sure. What's sort of the calculation in terms of when you put Oladipo on Burke? Obviously, a lot of other guys have to, you know, defend guys that they're giving up height to. What made
Well, you know what? It's going to sound crazy. We weren't. I tell you that the films that we learned a lot from were Michigan State and Penn State. We really did. And it's not as much about the matchup as it is about keeping the chest in front, not letting him get his space. I mean, he needs his space, and he can get it off. And he made some tremendous shots in the second half. And we knew it was going to come firing. He was 1 of 5 in the first half. You know he's going to put the shots up. So you just got to keep doing a really good job. And our coverages weren't as bad. He got us, and this is a sign of a great player. You know, when you make a mistake in your coverage, like we went under a couple of times and he buried those threes, you know, that's a sign of a great player. You make a little mistake, and he can make you pay. And we got a couple guys do that too. So it wasn't a calculated thought. It was always part of the plan. But it wasn't what you think it would be. I mean, we know we're going to, you know, and I don't know if Trey ever really guarded Victor, did he? You know, the switching situations, that says a lot right there. You know what I mean? Victor's going to guard him. So, but it wasn't like, okay, we got to put him on at a certain point in time. But that kid doesn't just draw the Trey Burks. He draws everybody's Trey Burks. You know, everybody's got a superstar player, right, in this league. I mean, or their best player, I should say. And he usually is going to draw that guy at some point. Sometimes it's for the whole game, sometimes it's part of the game. But we were really comfortable with Yogi on him too. But you got to keep changing it up on him. And we didn't have to go to some ball screen coverages that we had that maybe we'll need down the road with them if we see him again. But he rose to the challenge when that time came. And that's with a guy that was guarding somebody else really good the whole time before he got there. Go ahead, Sheila.
Yeah, the bench struggled a bit in the first half, but then he
They did.
got
How do you
things
define struggle? I thought they played fine. Are you judging offense, or are you judging how a couple times we didn't know?
I'm judging, what, 0 for 8 from the field.
Yeah, so you're judging offense. I'm judging, did they go out there and impact the
What made
game?
the difference, though, the fact that they did get things going?
That they did get to play through that. I think that's the big thing, that they got to play through some of that. Jeremy Holloway had a great game. I mean, and we knew it was coming. I mean, he had a great game. And I'm looking more, and I don't mean, and I'm not trying to be flippant with your question, but I'm not looking at the offense. I don't even know that. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at, are they engaged? Are they on the glass? Are they talking on defense? Are they trying to play the coverages the right way? And even if the score is not being impacted in the game, are they bringing fatigue to the game? And the answer, for the most, Hunter Perea gave us a solid time. You know, for the most part, the answer was yes on that. And then a couple of them, it gives them more confidence to be able to do more in the second half. But I never look at Will as a bench player, though. I mean, he's the sixth man, and forget the league. I don't know if there's a better one in the country. I haven't looked at everybody else's leagues in the sense of who comes off the bench, but he'd start for. I don't think there's any doubt he'd start for a lot of teams in the top 20. I mean, he'd start for us. We just choose not to. But I never look at him like that. But he was impactful. How many rebounds did he have? He had that one. Wait, he had 4. Yeah. So that was big. Those a couple big tips. So that's the thing in a game like this. It's the impact they're bringing to the game.
Jeff? Just being down 5 on the road at the number 7 ranked team, Big Ten title out right on the line, everything was right on that.
Nobody's thinking about that at that point.
But what were the keys to, in that environment, with all that as the background even, you guys are able to make that comeback?
Well, they played in tough environments. I mean, the zone is a tough place to play in too. You know, they've been down that road, and Ohio State's a tough place to play. I mean, we've been in some tough environments, so I don't think that was the factor with them. I think it's when you're looking at them, and not only are they looking back at you, but they're looking at each other, and like nobody thought we were out of time. And like I said, obviously they got to miss a couple shots to help you out. But I mean, nobody felt like we weren't going to come down and make plays. And we even ran one play that had been working all game. We ran it wrong and still got the thing inside where it needed to be. So they stayed committed to what was working. Nobody got into I got to win this myself. And they knew that number 40 was impossible to guard tonight. And the more they moved around him, not just got it to him, But move, we've had some situations, and we referenced the Wisconsin game in the locker room at halftime because he had such a great first half. They brought the double team. And it wasn't the double team that hurt us, it was the lack of movement where he couldn't find people to pass to. So then there's a game within the game, and that's one of the reasons you lose the game. So you're able to reference those points, and then it's not the experience of going through it, it's the understanding. And I think they understood they could still win, and we had our timeouts, which were crucial. And there was one time they could have gone to the monitor to check an elbow in Jordan's face and decided to hold it because thought we might need it. It wasn't going to do any good at that point because if they'd have been wrong, if we'd have been wrong, we'd have lost the timeout. Those are things go on during the game because it's going to be a close game. And so I felt good that we had enough time with the timeouts and we didn't have any foul issues, and they felt good because they felt they could come down and score.
Tom, how important is it for you and your players that you're not sharing this Big Ten title with anybody? You controlled that, you took care of that?
I think in retrospect that'll be good. Yeah, I think that'll be. I think that'll sink in. We never talked about that. Well, I shouldn't say we never talked about it. We talked about it a little bit, but it was not the focus you'd think. And I'm not trying to sound like winning an outright championship wasn't a big deal. It was. Coming up here and winning the game and playing the right way was the focus. That was the focus. Because if you put too much in, they'd already won the championship. Now if we lost, we shared it, but that wasn't what we were coming to do. We were coming to absolutely make sure we brought our best here because that's what we needed to do. And then you win it, and then obviously you got it. We already had the #1 seed going into the tournament, so it wasn't like we were talking about seeding or any of that kind of stuff. It was really about just coming up in here and playing better basketball. And I know that sounds trite, but that's really what it was. So, but there's no doubt that they're excited about that, and that'll hit us, and we'll feel good. And the question about 93, we're aware of it. We didn't focus on it, but there's no doubt that's a big deal because Calvert Cheney's in that locker room, and he was the last guy to be a part of that. So that's a huge thing.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, you mentioned
I can't have Dan Wetzel's got to ask a question, man. Seriously, I can't be in a press conference like that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You mentioned the 10-3 start. How important and significant was that? What was the key to that? And then what did Michigan do to counter that?
Well, we just played. It wasn't like it was perfect. We missed some shots, but it's going to be a game of runs, and you just want to make sure that you can correct your mistakes. And everything that we weren't doing was correctable in the game, and we missed 14 layups in the first half. 14 layups, and we're in a 2-point game, 3-point game, 3-point game. Okay, we have 14 layups. When you're missing those layups, it's not like they're not going to go at some point. The law of averages and percentages say those shots are going to go. So nobody was concerned about it. Bob, gotta have a question.
I didn't have a question.
I'll feel better if you have one.
All right.
It's a big deal.
All right.
And then Dan.
At the end of the game, the tears came. Can you?
That's private. That's us. No offense. We go through a lot. But I really didn't want to get emotional, but I couldn't help it.
Well, you answered the question.
All right. Not like what you would have liked, but that's just private. Go ahead. Anybody? Nothing, Dan? All right. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.